So we know that we live in a world of scarcity. We can't have everything we want. There's not enough resources. We don't have enough time to be able to work as much as we want, to be able to accrue as much money as we want, to accrue as many possessions as we want, or be able to afford as many experiences we want, whatever. We can't have everything we want because we are constrained in some way, shape, or form. This is where the idea of the budget constraint comes in. You see, we're all going to have some sort of budget, some sort of set income, set amount of time, something like that. And we're going to have choices that we can make. And we can identify the choices that, we have the opportunity to make. And because we can do that, we're going to go ahead and come up with a model. Economists like to use models because they help us be able to see something that perhaps we wouldn't be able to see otherwise. One of the things about the models is they tend to be very simple. And they're simple because our minds work best in 2D plane with only two different dimensions, two different variables. So we're only going to play around with two different variables whenever we do this. So what we're going to start out with, and in pretty much all of our graphs we're going to start out this way. We're going to have our y-axis and we're going to have our x-axis. In a budget constraint, we're going to end up having two goods. To simplify things, we're going to have two goods that we can consume. And the example that I like to use, because it represents me personally best, have some income and I want to spend it on two things. The first one is beer. The second one, chicken wings. Both wonderful goods. They're both excellent. They both bring me happiness, so it seems about right that I'd spend some of my income on them. Now what we're looking at is the quantity of beer that I can consume and the quantity of chicken wings I can consume. Well, if I had no constraints, if there was no scarcity, if I had all the income in the world that I wanted, I could have an infinite amount of beer and an infinite amount of chicken wings. Wouldn't that be great? Well, for our example of the budget constraint, the important thing to realize is that we have to be constrained in some way, shape, or form. In this case, what do we use to procure beer and wings? Money. We have dollars that we're going to spend on beer and on chicken wings. So there has to be a certain amount of money that we have to our name. It could be what's in your wallet, it could be what's in your bank account, it could be your credit limit. Whatever, that's what you can spend. You can't spend any more than what you actually have access to. So we're just going to say I have $10 in my pocket and I plan on spending it on beer and chicken wings. So my income, that is what's in my pocket, the amount of money I can spend, is $10. Now, just the income alone isn't enough to tell me how many beers I can have or how many chicken wings I can have or both even. I also need to know how much each of these goods cost. We're going to say that the chicken wings, which are on our x-axis, right now they're, we got a sweet wing deal going on and they're costing me 50 cents a chicken wing. Awesome. I also need to know the price of beer, how much that's going to cost me. And beer, the price of beer right now, $2. So because I know the price of beer, the price of chicken wings, and my income, I can find out how many beers or how many chicken wings that I could actually have. Let's, for example, first off find what our two extremes are. If I were to spend all of my $10, that is all of my income, on beer, how many beers could I drink? Well, we know that we have $10 and we know that a beer costs $2. We can do a little bit of simple math. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So let's go ahead and make a point here and label it 5. This is one choice that I could have. If I consumed 5 beers, I will have spent $10. How much would I have left to spend on wings? The answer is 0. So 1 point could be 5 beer and 0 wings. Let's do it for the other extreme, and that would be if I spent all my money on wings. If I spent all my money on wings costing 50 cents a piece, me having $10 in my pocket, I'd take $10, divide it by 0.5 or 0.50 for 50 cents, and I'd find out that I can actually consume, if I spend all my money on wings, 20 chicken wings. Now, if I spend all my money on chicken wings, am I going to have anything left with which to buy beer? The answer, of course, is no. I spent all my $10. I can't spend any more. So another extreme is 20 chicken wings and 0 beers. Now, this isn't all about choosing one or the other. There are other points that I can choose as well. Let's say, for example, if I chose to consume 4 beers. If I have chosen to consume 4 beers, I will have spent 2 times 4 or $8 on beer. I'll have $2 left over in my income with which I can spend on chicken wings. So if I go ahead and do that and actually spend it on chicken wings, I'll be able to purchase 4. So another possible consumption choice for me is 4 beers and 4 chicken wings. Well, let's continue going. If I take another beer off and I consume 3 beers, I'll have spent $6. So I'll have $4 left over with which to spend on chicken wings. Of course, I could have 8 chicken wings if I did that. So I have another point. I could have 3 beers and 8 chicken wings. If I again take away a beer, I would have 2. Spending $2 on beers would spend $4. I'll have $6 left over, which means I could have 12 chicken wings. So there's another point there. And finally, if I only had 1 beer, I'd have spent $2, so I have $8 left over. So I could have 16 chicken wings. These points are my different possibilities of what I can consume. I'm not going to choose to consume somewhere inside this line because that would be a waste. I've got $10 to spend on chicken wings and beer. If I don't, we use the assumption if I don't spend it, well, I've lost it. It's a waste. It's gone away. So we're going to spend all of our money. We're going to spend as much of our money as we possibly can. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 choices of how I can spend my money. 6 different combinations of beer and chicken wings. Now what you're going to ask me next is, okay, that's great. We've got our choices. We know what we can choose. But which one exactly are we going to choose? Which one of these points is going to be the best? And the answer to that comes along and says, you know what? If we were just asking this to any random person on the street, each person could possibly have a different answer. Some people may not like beer, so they'd choose to eat 20 chicken wings. Some people would choose, I don't like chicken wings, so I'm going to drink beer. Some people might like a combination of both and some different combination of those. I always ask around the classroom, and everyone always tells me a different answer. I always get a bunch of people that are all around and all on the different combinations. So that tells us that different people have different personal preferences. We can quantify these things. However, we're not going to do that for a few chapters, for a couple more weeks down the road. Then we'll come back to the idea of quantifying which choice is the best. So we're going to go ahead and draw our budget constraint line, because there are 2 things that can happen that can change the choices that are available to us. We know that income is what constrains us, and we know that it constrains us because wings and beer cost money. So the budget constraint can possibly change. let's say, for sake of argument, that our income changes on us. And let's say our income has increased from $10 to $20. Is that going to change the different combinations that are available to us? Absolutely. If I spend all my money on beer now, how many beers can I have? Well, 20 divided by 2 is 10. Yikes. If I spend all of my money on the chicken wings, I can have 20 divided by 0.5 or 40 chicken wings. That's also going to change all of our combinations in between as well. If we really wanted to, we could go ahead and we could plot all those out. We're not going to do that though, because you can do it with math. You can find out if you have 9 beers, how much money do you have left over? Well, $2, how many wings can you get with that? So 9 and 4, 8 and 8, so on and so forth until we get to 10 to 0 to 0 and 40. Not a problem. We can do that. Another thing that can affect how our budget constraint looks is going to be a change in the price of one of our goods. Let's say, for example, that the price of beer increases from $2 to $2.50. And we're going to go back to our original income of 10 to make life a little bit easier. If beer increases from $2 to $2.50, if we spend all of our income on beer, how many beers can we have? Well, 10 divided by $2.50 is going to end up being 4. So 4 is going to be our maximum point. Well, how about chicken wings? Is the quantity of chicken wings that we can consume going to change at all? The answer to that is going to be no, because 10 divided by 0.5 is still 20. So we can still get 20 wings. What's going to change, however, is our points in between. We'll show it, for example, if we say that we only purchase 3 beers, that'll cost $7.50. We'll have $2.50 left over with which to buy wings. So we can have 3 and 5 as a possible combination. If we only buy 2 beers, we'll have spent $5. So we'll have $5 left to spend on wings. That combination would be 2 beer and 10 wings. And if we were to buy only 1 beer, that's $2.50. We have $7.50 left over. So we could buy 15 wings. And we could do that, connect them together, and we see another new budget constraint. So we've got our original budget constraint. We've got our budget constraint I when income has changed. And we have a budget constraint P when prices change. Now, how are these changes, what do these changes look like? Well, if we change just income, we're going to see a parallel shift in our budget constraint. If our income increases, we're going to see a parallel shift to the right. If our income decreases, we're going to see a parallel shift to our left. If prices of an item change, like we saw here between these two, we're not going to see a parallel shift, but we're going to see a rotation. We saw the price of beer changed, so this budget constraint rotated around our quantity of wings, because the wings didn't change, so we could always have 20 wings there. So what we saw is that the budget constraint rotated around the good that didn't change.